everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candice Marie. I'll be your astrologer today. We will be taking a look at the transit of Mercury entering into the sign of Libra. If you guys like my work and you want to follow more of my videos, make sure you click the bell button below and subscribe. Leave me a comment down in the comment section and let me know if you have Mercury in Libra or in the 7th house and what you're looking forward to with this transit. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate it because any interaction with the video helps my channel grow. All right, so we get ready to talk all about relationships with this transit. It's definitely going to be a hot topic. There are a number of really interesting aspects because we are also seeing that planets like Mercury and the Sun are going to be dancing in conjunction to the South Node. And we are coming into, in just a few short days, what will be a solar eclipse in Libra. So there is lots of Libra kind of energy out in the air. This particular transit of Mercury is going to be taking place from September 26th through October 13th. So just a few short weeks of this particular transit. Obviously, this is going to be impacting my Mercury ruled charts. So if you're a Gemini or a Virgo rising, your planetary ruler is on the move. It's changing signs. You want to see where it's kind of going in your chart, as well as Libra placement. So if you are a Libra sun, moon, rising, or personal planet, you will be affected by this particular transit. So let's talk a little bit about Mercury. Then I'm going to talk to you guys about some of the themes of Mercury and Libra, what we're going to be probably expecting kind of out in the world with this particular transit. And then we are also going to be discussing how to work with it and how this will be impacting the 12 signs. As always, I will take you guys through Mercury's trek and kind of show you some of the hot points for some aspects that we will be experiencing along the way. But yeah, so my Mercury ruled charts, pay attention. You know, you guys already know, but for everybody else, Mercury is the planet of communication. So it is about thought and travel. And as it's entering into the sign of Libra, this is a sign that is a cardinal air sign. So it takes action in initiating relationships, communication. It can be about harmony, relationships, clients, business. So this is going to be some of the themes that we'll be seeing throughout Libra season. I really think that this particular placement puts a lot more emphasis on diplomacy, okay? So we might be kind of trying to be more diplomatic with other people. Maybe we are asking, you know, how other people are doing, checking in with them more, and really trying to seek harmony in our communications. So this is what you need to know about this transit. When Mercury goes through this sign, our thoughts and our expressions are going to be tied into the themes of Libra, which is ruled by Venus. So it can be more romantic. It can be more about meeting people, connecting with new partnerships. It can be about kind of connecting more in existing relationships. And this is a sign that is generally inclined to negotiate rather than to seek conflict. It wants to kind of work on conflict avoidance. And it also really wants to kind of work on mediation and being able to see both sides of any argument. So I look forward to that over the next couple of weeks. And like I said, Mercury does influence everything from how we think, how we communicate. It also deals with short distance travel and local activities. So when it's in the sign of Libra, it's going to be reflecting how we relate to other people. It's also about our aesthetic judgments and choices and our social interactions. So we can see some socializing kind of picking up in the Libra area of our chart. Now, how this is going to affect us? Well, it's going to depend on your personal placements, but I do think that we may find ourselves being a little bit more diplomatic, avoiding direct confrontation, and our communication style might be more about finding a common ground rather than asserting our viewpoints in conversations. It can also, though, because Libra can be about indecisiveness, lead to some indecisions, and it can also be about a reluctance to make firm choices because we're kind of like balancing out our options when we look at planets going through Libra. Now in relationships, I really feel like this transit is golden for smoothing out any misunderstandings or conflict. It might be easier to see your partner's point of view with this transit or maybe their perspective. But remember that over-compromising can also lead to an imbalance in your relationship. So we do not want to be indecisive. We want to be aware that planets are dancing on the South Node in Libra, so there is a tendency to reflect on the past, what we've done in the past, what hasn't worked in the past, what relationships haven't worked in the past. So those things can be coming up for us as well. Now, when we talk about specifics of this transit, the biggest thing for me, obviously, isn't just going to be the fact that planets are going to be conjuncting the South Node. It's that we will actually see this kind of kickoff with a triple conjunction between Mercury, the Sun, and the South Node. And then we are going to see a cazimi. So there's almost this sense of needing to go back to the past, reflect, review, revise, and then also have some kind of like new awareness or epiphany of, you know what, that doesn't suit me anymore, or that's not working for me anymore, or that's out of balance. But also, if there's people that are meant to come back into our lives, if we're meant to hear from that special someone, that can also be triggered with this transit. So throughout the next couple of weeks, embrace diplomacy, use this time to mediate conflict, seek balance, especially when it comes to your thoughts and decisions, and really aim for fairness. Try to enhance your relationships with other people or the Libra area of your life. So look at which house that is, and focus on partnerships, but ensure that your voice isn't lost in the mix. For global expectations and what we're going to be seeing out in the world, internationally, we may see more opportunities for diplomacy and more effort to be able to kind of work together, especially in areas where there's been conflict. There could be treaties or agreements, but also there can be an indecision in global politics. So that's going to be really interesting. I know that on the 2nd of October, we are seeing a major kind of meeting that's taking place. There's a meeting that is taking place revolving around like these health treaties, these global kind of health treaties that are being brought back up and reevaluated. And we see a lot of people meeting and kind of talking and discussing about this. So I'm wondering if there's any connection to that. But I also feel like, we can see opportunities for peace negotiations. I'm on the fence though, because the South Node sometimes, especially in Libra, is, when we cannot find diplomacy, or if we are trying to be diplomatic, but it's not really getting anywhere, or if we're being too understanding, or if we're aligning ourselves with the wrong people, it can definitely be bringing up some pitfalls. So it's really going to depend on, I guess, the country or the specific situation. But I do think that there is an opportunity here for us to reflect on the past and what we have done in the past, not just in terms of like our alliances, but also legal decisions, right? Libra can be dealing with justices, the court system, the Supreme Court, anything revolving around any kind of global decisions and alliances. That's really what I'm like looking for, is who is going to be aligning themselves with, other countries, and what is the agenda, and like what is the plan, and also, is it going to abide by the laws of the existing countries that they are representing? So that's just a little piece for me. So as we kind of go through this video, just remember that Venus is going to be directly connected to Mercury, because both the Sun and Mercury are in Libra. So it's picking up energy of Venus's transit through Scorpio. So Scorpio topics are dark, they're taboo. It is about sometimes crime and corruption, because this is a Pluto-ruled sign. It can be also laws revolving around banking, stuff connecting to interest rates, investments, and things that are secretive, or things that are potentially, being uncovered. So Venus is going to be important to watch. If you guys caught my Venus in Scorpio video, you know how I talk about, for the most part, it's a pretty beautiful transit. Even though Venus is kind of going to hell and back, she makes some really nice alignments with Mars in Cancer, as well as Saturn in Pisces. So this can be about, through this Libra season, making big emotional changes, big shifts in our resources, our intimacy, our relationships with our home, with our family. And for some of us, it's going to feel like big emotional clearings. So this is going to prompt, with the Sun and Mercury going through Libra, okay, these things are coming up. Do we finally need to have these discussions, or do we need to be fair to each other, or do we need to find a way to be able to talk, communicate, connect, and heal? Libra deals also with like your clients. It can be with your marketplace. It can be about therapists. It can be about your astrologer. So I could definitely see this as a time where more people are willing to invest, right? Venus in Scorpio, in the right person, in the right guide, the right support system. I think it's also going to be about people willing to kind of get outside of their comfort zone with Venus in Scorpio and seek relationships and partnerships. Maybe there's some shifts going on with our mind revolving around the types of people that we have a tendency to relate to or kind of be drawn or attracted to or partner with, and that we're moving away from that. We're moving towards something where there is more depth, there is more, I think, transparency, there's more commitment, because Venus is in a sign where it's incredibly passionate and very devoted, and it's harmonizing with Mars in Cancer, which is like kind of homey, domestic, protective, as well as Saturn. So don't get scared with some of the South Node Libra transits. I do feel like, yes, for some of us, you know, we are going to be reminiscing a little bit more. Some of you guys may find with this transit, especially as Mercury and the Sun and the South Node are coming together, that, you know, you're reading old love letters, or you're looking through old photos, or you're scrolling through, you know, media and you're seeing pictures of people that you were with years ago, or, you know, you're seeing people who you used to be with in their new relationships and how they've moved on. You may also be seeing that there are new people coming into our lives, right, that are meant to kind of come in. The South Node doesn't have to be, you know, like the boogeyman. It doesn't have to be self-undoing. It can be that if we have a contract, Mercury, if we have a karmic contract with someone, and we were supposed to meet them at this point in our lives, they're going to come in, you know, likely with the conjunctions to the South Node. Also, as we are starting to see the solar eclipse in Libra coming in, there is lots of soul connections and unions that I feel like are going to start flooding in, because it's going to be a new moon solar eclipse. So the next 6 months, we are going to see so much rearranging going on in relationships. It's going to be crazy. Yes, at first the effects of the South Node can feel like, well, this person is falling out of my life, or they left, right? Your business partner, your romantic partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, your best friend, like, you know, your work colleague, and they leave. But that's how the South Node works, because somebody else or something else is supposed to be coming in. So I want to remind you guys that the North Node is ruled by Mars. The South Node is ruled by Venus, and Venus is going through Scorpio. And it says, hey, it's painful, it's scary. You know, we have to talk about things that kind of broke our hearts, or things that didn't go wrong, or people or places we had to let go of. But if we can do that, if we can talk about it, if we can process it, whether that's in therapy or with our existing relationships or with new partners, if we can explain where we've been, it's only then that we're able to receive something new. And you will start to see that as Venus is trining Mars, you know, obviously later in coming into October, and also over the next 6 months, as we start to see this solar eclipse in Libra unfold, especially right around the spring of 2025. So there's a method to the madness, guys. Don't fall into the traps of, oh, I'm gonna call my ex, you know, or just because they email or they reach out to you or you run into them, you know, you start something back up. Obviously, you know, choose your own adventure with that one. You have to, you know, take your own transits into consideration. But I have found that when we see this conjunction on the South Node, people are like, why am I thinking about this person that I was with so many years ago? Or like, why am I so fixated on, you know, wondering what's going on with like my ex-best friend, or, you know, this person who I haven't spoken to. Because the mind is going to be on fire, because Mercury is going to be very, very close to the sun, coming up to what will be the cazimi on the 1st. Now, the cazimi in itself is also really exciting, because this is that rebirth period that we see when when Mercury is going to pull into a superior position with the sun, tongue-tied, sorry. And we're going to see this as an opportunity for enlightenment, or maybe we are noticing synchronicities, or we're kind of seeing like the angel numbers, or we're seeing like the, you know, the symbols or the messages. Maybe we have a really prominent dream or like an epiphany that comes to us. And remember, it's Libra, so it can be coming through other people. Unless you're like a Libra or Libra rising, it might be more kind of connected to you personally, maybe. But for everybody else, this may come from outside of you. You may find yourself thinking, wow, I really, really, really need, a new stylist, or I really need a new accountant, or I wish I could just find like the perfect assistant. And then boom, you have a synchronicity and somebody's like, oh, like if you need any help, here's my card, call me. Or I have somebody who I think that you would be really compatible with. Let me set you guys up. That kind of stuff is going to start happening. So pay attention to those synchronicities, because people are coming in, relaying messages to us to help us become aware of where we're kind of coming from and where we're going. So let other people help you. Let love lead the way, obviously, with Libra as well. I keep telling you guys that all of these squares with planets moving through Libra to Pluto teaches us that love can conquer all, that 2 is definitely better than 1, and that we need all the help that we can get out there right now in the midst of Libra season, and to be kind of helping bring people together and encouraging people to connect, to collaborate, to support, to be fair, to be balanced, to be more so diplomatic. That cazimi, I think, really is a part of the eclipse. It's, eclipses in their own right are kind of shocking and surprising. There is some kind of curveball that usually comes through around about the time of an eclipse that is a catalyst for change. So the eclipse is going to be around 10 degrees, and we're going to see the cazimi that's going to be happening right around 6 degrees. So if you have any personal planets for, I would say, through like 11 degrees of Libra, right? If you have a planet there, if that's your sun, moon, rising, if you have a node there, that's going to be very, very significant, because it's both going to, with the south node, be showing you, okay, this is what's coming up that we're moving away from, but hold on a second, we might need to take little bits and pieces of that from the past, those lessons, those experiences, we need to talk about it, process it, and then move forward. So stay tuned to the end. I'll take you guys through the 12 rising signs so you can kind of see how that works out for all of you. But we're going to start by talking about Mercury's trek. So you guys are watching this on the 26th, but I just want to remind you that over the last couple of days, we've seen Mercury in the late degrees of Virgo, right? Which has been really great for getting things done, getting organized. This last week, there's been some really great aspects with Mercury. It has made a trine to Uranus where we've been thinking outside of the box. We've been open to making change. And obviously this has been an earth trine. So, better organizing, getting things in order, especially when it comes to our schedule, our health, our routine, what we're eating, how we're managing our money, productivity. And so we have found workarounds since Mercury was in an opposition to Neptune, which seemed kind of confusing. And then right at the tail end of the transit, kind of happening yesterday into very early this morning, Mercury was in a trine to Pluto. So it's been about deep, powerful kind of conversation, unearthing. It's about research. It's also about major change, because it happened at 29, revolving around schedule work. It can be about employee stuff, job changes, some changes revolving around our habits and control. And we've been in the midst of a really lovely earth trine. So we've been able to make some physical changes, right, with our earth houses. Now, as we move into Mercury in Libra, we're starting to kind of lose that trine. So you want to think about what's shifted over the last couple of days or so for you. And now that Mercury is going into a new house, the mind is going to be more on that particular house. Mercury likes to break things apart, put it back together, figure out how it works, clean something up. Sometimes it likes to rearrange things. And Libra is about aesthetics. Libra is about taking something that's already beautiful, right? Taurus, and saying, okay, now we're gonna like slap some lipstick on the pig. We're gonna put some color on it, or we're going to enhance how it looks. So I do think that this is a time where talking to other people about their aesthetic preferences, or their style, or their relationships, maybe asking other people's opinions, asking how other people are doing, rather than sitting down and having a conversation when you're talking about yourself. It's like, what do you think? What do you want? And that's something that I will give to Libra placements or Mercury and Libra. There's always a sense of them naturally checking in with other people before they make a decision. It's called being considerate, right? Unless you're doing it all the time and then you're like indecisive, but it's about being considerate. So I think a lot of this is going to be about being considerate of, yes, that particular house, but the people involved in that house and how you can bring them in and kind of collaborate with them, create with them, partner with them. And it's going to be also really great for business. It's going to be really great for having some really interesting conversations if you're just like getting back out there and dating and kind of meeting people. If you're just getting situated even with like a new therapist or someone, you know, everybody knows how that goes. You have a new therapist and you feel like you spend like the first 4, you know, sessions unpacking all of your childhood trauma, you know, just to kind of get them up to speed. And I could see some people doing that, honestly, with Venus being in Scorpio, because it's about going deep. And I feel like some people who are just either meeting new romantic partners, if they're just, you know, interviewing for jobs, if they are just connecting with new friends, there's a lot of depth in being like, okay, who are you? Give me your story. You know, what are you doing here? What are you looking for? What's your angle? And then being able to connect and being able to share your story with people. I feel like it's going to be incredibly enriching. So we see Mercury enter on the 26th. That was much earlier this morning that the ingress happened. Still in a trine to Pluto, but we're starting to lose that. And as you notice, the sun is at 3 degrees. So technically, you know, Mercury's combust right now. When we have a planet within about 10 degrees of the sun, the planet feels burned up, right? It's melting. So mind on fire with themes revolving around what? Relationships. So there could be so much back and forth with communication. Or you feel like you said, I was just going to kind of dip my toe back into the dating pool, and suddenly you've got 3 dinners lined up this week, you know, like that kind of stuff. Or maybe you just started seeing someone and then suddenly you're like, whoa, you know, this is like going really quick. And we can become aware of where we're repeating some of our similar patterns, right? But I think it's also about recognizing and being aware that we do need to have support from others, and we can't completely isolate ourselves. And the Venus-Mars trine that's kind of building, I think, is definitely showing that. Anyway, so that's going to be the ingress that we're going to see. And let's see. Yeah, all right. So that's the first one. And then we're going to move to the 29th here. And it's very brief, but it is a triple conjunction. So look at this. Like, it's like very, very brief. It's going to be like a small moment in time, but I'm splitting hairs here. I mean, look at this. This is 6:59. This is 6:38, and this is exactly 6. But they're all at 6 degrees. South node conjunct Mercury, conjunct the sun. All right. So when planets conjunct the south node, we are reconnecting with the past. You know, like I said, we're going to be kind of like, you know, daydreaming, thinking about things, you know, kind of reminiscing a little bit. And Libra can be art, music. You know, you'll hear a song and you're like, oh, it really reminds me of that person. Or, you know, you listen to like an album and you're like, man, I remember what was going on in my life, you know, when that album came out, and like, you know, where I was living and what I was doing, what my life was like and who I was dating, you know, stuff like that. And 6 always deals with Virgo. Okay, so if we look at this from the perspective of degree astrology, I'll read you guys Virgo. So keep in mind, it is Libra, but it's going to have a little bit of like a Virgo tweak. And this is to work, at the workplace, colleagues from work, coworkers, workshops, offices, location of a workplace, those who work for us, employees, health, illness, health centers, general practitioners, everything associated with health, medical care booklets, prescriptions, macrobiotics, healthy way of life, service industry, customers, clients, those who request services, a subtenant status, renting to be a subtenant, and veterinary science, vets, domestic animals, pets, to analyze, to play chess, step parents, clothes, a place for keeping clothes, aunts, uncles, stomachs, honey, bees, and ants. Okay, so just like random stuff. But it does have this connection to Virgo and Mercury. When I look at this, I'm like, man, you know, are people going to have like some exes like coming to visit them at work? Are people going to be meeting love on their lunch break, you know, when they least expect it? Are there going to be opportunities maybe to focus more on our mental health and what we're learning about mental health? You know, in the background, the moon is in Virgo. And this is ruled by Mercury. So we see the moon, which the very next day will come into an opposition with Saturn. As much as I hate to say it, September 30th makes me feel like we may see some major layoffs for the service industry. You know, it could be food, restaurants, hospitality, bars, hotels, things of that nature, things that are luxury, right? Libra is luxury. And Mercury is the news. So we might hear about like a major store going under, or some major chain that's closing, or, you know, there's some filing where they're like, yeah, we're not going to continue working, or there is some news about a major layoff. That could definitely happen as well. But very short period of time that you see the South Node with the Mercury and the Sun at the same degree. The Sun conjunct the South Node is going to be about like loss of power. It could be about ill health for a leader or for a prominent male figure. So it could be a celebrity, it could be a male artist, it could be a performer. And there could be some news revolving around being like, yeah, you know, they passed away, or they had a, you know, some kind of issue or ailment with their lungs, or there was a long-standing issue that they had with their breathing, or, you know, with some kind of problems, you know, revolving around mental health, or drugs or something like that. Because the Sun South Node Mercury to me is like somebody who lost their mind, or they lost their vitality. Maybe some big prominent news revolving around a divorce or a separation, right? Because it's also in Libra. So that will be on the 29th. And I've read you guys the Sabian symbol a million times. So if you haven't seen me talk about that in previous videos, you can check that out. All right, so then we take this to the 1st of October. And this is when we have the cazimi. All right, so at this point, you know, just to kind of backtrack, Mercury conjunct the Sun, and then it pulls ahead of the Sun. So we're going to see the cazimi that's going to be starting up kind of like actually late at night on the 30th. And it's going to be going until kind of the morning of the 1st. So, you know, you'll see it sometime between the 30th and the 1st. But it looks like the cazimi is going to be at 8 degrees. So that 8 degrees is going to be about change, transformation, right? Endings, beginnings. It's a Scorpio degree. And sometimes that's a degree that deals with death or endings. So I think that that is tied to the news of like a change with like a relationship, or that there can be some big decisions that are made about like taxes. That's the other way I would look at that. Let's see. So Scorpio degrees, at the risk of one's life, life-threatening. So this can be about assassins, dangerous people, graves, things connected to cemeteries, operations, surgeries, operation rooms, someone else's property, something belonging to someone else, bathrooms, litter, trash, garbage, something that's destroyed, forensics, bad language, anything sexual, underground rooms, cellars, basements, subterranean spaces, rivers by riverbanks, someone else's money, loans, scholarships, pregnancy, birth, or delivery. So what is that Sabian symbol? So that's at 8 of Libra, so it would be 9. So this is now the cazimi point that I'm looking at. All right, so Libra 9, 3 old masters hanging in an art gallery. The theme is self-integration. The symbol speaks to the man's capacity to understand his world and the universe through his own personal experience. The image of 3 old masters hanging in an art gallery alludes to the 3 souls in Plato's scheme, mind or intellect, feeling or emotion, habit or instinct. The 3 paintings hang together as a set or ununified creative expression. The suggestion here is the fulfillment of all individual potential is achieved through effective self-integration or harmonious blending and cooperative functioning of mind, body, and spirit. The master symbolizes the past and our heritage. The implication here is that we are linked to source and our roots, and that by standing on the shoulders of the giants who came before us, we revitalize the heritage and carry forward our own individual accomplishments. At its highest, it represents a special gift for healing conflict and dissension, for bringing diverse people together in harmony by emphasizing mutual goals and objectives. Watch for a refusal to let go of outworn habits and traditions or selfish insistence of having one's own way even at the expense of sacrificing the good of the whole for the best interest of the group. The accent is on learning how to get along with others and solve your own problems. Your greatest advantage lies in recognizing that there can be more than one winner and being willing to share the limelight with others. Guard against trying to be a crowd pleaser or basing your own decisions on your opinions of how things have always been done. You could be wrong, or the technique may not work in this particular situation. Stepping stones is unity, affinity, compatibility, relationship, harmony, integration, heritage, past excellent creative expressions, fine arts, values, appreciations of excellence. Working together, collaborations. I kind of see that, like integration, like more than one person, and how it's going to take more than one person to create a team. And that we may recognize and realize that, there may be somebody who's better at something than we are, or instead of feeling like we have to take all of the credit, sharing the credit and giving the credit where the credit is due, right? I like that. And also it can be about some big news revolving around like art, maybe like, some major piece of valuable art, makes an appearance somewhere or is bought or sold, or maybe even like goes missing. I mean, that could definitely happen too, kind of linking that together, but not feeling like we have to have our own way. I like that too. All right, so that's going to be the cazimi. Obviously, when we have the cazimi, you guys want to be mindful that we have downloads, we have insights, we have dreams, and we may have the conversations and discussions with people that are kind of seemingly coming out of nowhere, but they're really directed at you, getting the message that you need in that moment. And maybe it's from a stranger and they didn't even really know that you needed it, but you needed to hear what they had to say. I think with this cazimi, this moment around the 30th or the 1st of October, Mercury is being purified. It's being reborn. It's dying in the heart of the sun, and it's at an 8. So something is ending, but something new is beginning. Now, for some of us, is this difficult conversations revolving around the fact that a relationship is coming to an end, or a partnership is coming to an end, or we're letting someone or we're letting something go? Sure, yeah, that could be the case. We could have that happen. But I think that your thoughts and your words can carry more weight with this aspect. And there can be opportunities for profound insights and decisions that are made in this moment. And it's the ability to change your mind, which is where all the strength comes from, to let go of old, outdated ways of thinking, to not feel like you have to respond a certain way, that you have to be people-pleasing, that you have to say yes to everyone, that you have to kind of stick out certain relationships if you know that it may not be best for both of you in the long run, right? That's at least how I see it. And for a lot of people, Venus and Mars trining is great. There's lots of room for, meeting people in intimacy, but both of these planets are also meeting with Saturn. They're going to trine Saturn. Mars is in a trine to Saturn at the time of this aspect. And so it can be talking about, cutting, moving away, letting go. Some people are saying, well, there's certain relatives I just can't get along with. I'm going to cut my losses. Not that you don't want to relate to them anymore or be friendly with them anymore, but you may feel like things have gone on where, you're being pulled apart in some way, or roommates, it could be your hometown, it could be your current living situation because of that trine to Mars. And then for other people, I think it's going to be this realization of how far you've come, right? From old relationships that you've been in. Some of you guys might be in current relationships and you might look around with some of these transits at the end of September and go, wow, I'm so glad that I left where I was, or I experienced whatever I experienced and got through that, because it kind of led me to where I am now. So there can be a newfound appreciation, basically, with some of the trines with Mars, Venus, and Saturn kind of in the background. Keep a notebook on you, maybe. Pay attention to your dreams that you might have on the 30th or the 1st, and definitely what can seem like just normal conversations or kind of things that are kind of popping up. There's going to be lots of synchronicities that I think are coming through where we need to hear something. All right, so then we will see around the 4th. This is the first kind of wonky aspect we're going to see, where then Mercury is going to start coming into a inconjunct with Saturn. Okay, so this will be around 14 degrees. There we go. So here we have Mercury at 14, quincunx Saturn, right? So anytime we have an inconjunct or a quincunx, these two signs, they don't have anything in common, right? Pisces, mutable water ruled by Jupiter and Neptune, mystical, magical, other realms, kind of receptive, quiet, feminine. Libra, more kind of external. It's going to be more social. It's going to be more masculine. It's air. They don't mix. So they don't always understand each other, right? And what's interesting is that when we see this inconjunct, that moon has been moving through Libra as well. Like I said, the second we have the solar eclipse. So Mercury is still a part of that eclipse. The moon is there. So the moon's triggering, okay, new actions, opportunities with relationships, new people that we're meeting, new clients that are coming in, and there's a lot of action there. But then Mercury, quincunx Saturn is, well, how do we feel about being vulnerable and talking to people or dating again, or maybe there's things we want to say but we don't know how to say it. There's things that we would like to discuss but we're afraid maybe of what other people are going to think or what other people are going to say. So an inconjunct is trying to reconcile between Saturn's kind of stable, conservative, reserved, cold nature, and Mercury in Libra, which is kind of like this social butterfly that wants to kind of get out and kind of mix and mingle. Basically, it's about a need for adjustment and possibly feeling restricted when it comes to communication and not knowing how to proceed forward or not knowing how to respond to somebody. Saturn in Pisces says, sleep on it, think about it, meditate on it. You don't need to immediately respond to everything. I don't think you will want to, especially as the moon is coming into a square with Pluto, that likely whatever the events the first, second, third, fourth brings in regards to relationships, we're having to take a second. We're having to kind of take it all in and kind of see how that makes us feel and, see how it's kind of resonating in the body before we respond to things. And it could be good or bad. It doesn't have to be negative. But we need a little bit of time to kind of give somebody a response. Now then what we're going to see is on the 6th, a little bit of combative energy. This is when Mercury is going to come in for a square with Mars, okay? P.S. Mercury this year is heavily influenced by Jupiter. And what does Jupiter do? Makes everything bigger. And Jupiter in Gemini, more communication, more talking, more traveling, more learning, right? More optimism, more opportunities to expand the way that we communicate, connect, read, write, share, learn, get on social media, all that stuff. So when we see Mercury going through any of the signs, it's influencing that. So, as we start to see Mercury, making this aspect, I really feel like, Mercury in Libra, it's trying to help, right? It's trying to say, can I do this with you? Or can I come along? Or, well, what about me? Or, can I be involved in some way? It is at a 17, so it is going to be a Leo degree, so it is going to be a little bit more dramatic. There's a little bit more flair, there's more romance in the air. There's definitely more opportunity for having fun, playing around, falling in love, themes revolving around hobbies, creativity, even children. And Mercury is going to square Mars, okay? So this is a kind of conflicting energy because, Mars in Cancer usually doesn't get too sassy unless it's provoked. It does not want to be bothered, but when it feels like it's being poked, it's going to, kind of bounce, it's going to kind of bite back a little bit. So I see this aspect as, some emotional or protective responses with communication. Mercury says, I want to do it together. And Mars says, leave me alone. Don't bother me. I don't want to go out. I don't want to move, I don't want to deal with your family. I don't want to have to, make changes in the domestic zone. I don't want to get out of the past or my comfort zone. There can quite literally be more conflicts with people within your home space, right? And also conflicts with relationships and family. So there can be, partnerships and relationships or marriages or, siblings, certain relatives that are saying, we need to work through this. We need to work together. How can we work together? We got to talk. And then the square to Mars means there are going to be some people who are going to be like, I don't want to talk. I'm upset. I'm pissed off, and there's going to be a little bit of a back and forth. And this is it's coming up quite a bit actually through Libra season. We're going to see a number of planets that are going to square Mars where this is going to come up. And we're going to see a number of planets that are also going to come into a square with Pluto, where it's going to be about dealing with some long-standing issues and overcoming some of these issues that have been going on for so very long. And it is very family related, it's very marriage related, it's very work related, you know, because these are the signs that are getting kind of triggered. So even if it's not hitting those particular houses for you, it's going to be my relationship to something, you know, the power struggles in this area, my emotions in that area that are all kind of ricocheting off of each other. One thing I will say is that, you know, Mercury square Mars, even though there can be this feeling of somebody annoying you, right? They're trying to help you, or they're trying to encourage you, or they're saying, well, I'll help you do it, right? So Mars in Cancer is like, oh, I gotta go, you know, organize the garage. I gotta go mow the grass. I gotta go paint the house. I gotta go, you know, move the moving boxes. And the partner's like, I'll go with you, I'll help. And you're kind of like annoyed, you know, you're like, no, just let me do it by myself. No, I really wanna help you. Or when you have somebody else in the kitchen, I wanna help you make dinner. And you're like, get out. Like, it's kind of like that energy to me. And what's funny is when that square happens, at least Venus and the moon, they're in a trine to Mars, right? So it is saying like, you know, people could be a little bit more feisty and kind of fresh, and it can be good chemistry, and it can be like a really sexy energy. And, you know, Venus is still kind of trining Saturn. So there can be opportunities for there to be a little bit of tension, but that can be good. And I would just say, relax a little bit, let other people help you, let other people like love you or support you or encourage you in some way. You know, it's going to maybe be a little irritating, but like the fact that other people may want to be involved in what you're doing is not a bad thing. I think this is actually really good. So then we go from the 6th to the 8th, where we see some really interesting energies. We've got two kind of polar opposite things happening this day. So first things first, Mercury, okay, is at 21 degrees. Last fall, this is where we had a solar eclipse in Libra. So now it's kind of reactivating that eclipse a little bit. Mercury is directly connected to Jupiter because, well, Jupiter is in Gemini and they're trining each other. So if you're like, Candace, when is the best day of this entire transit? I don't know. I think this one's pretty good, to be honest with you. That and the cazimi. I think this one's good, but it's gonna be a little sweet and salty. Mercury, god of messages, communications, contracts, travel, aligning with Jupiter, philosophy, law, legality, learning, positivity, abundance. Hey, this is a great day if you're like, I want to make some big news. I want to make an announcement. I want to sign a contract. I want to sign a lease. I want to book travel. This is the day that you want to do it, right? Granted, there's other stuff going on in the skies, guys. You know, the moon at some point is going to come into a square with Saturn. It looks like it will be early in the morning, but you will see that. And the moon will oppose Jupiter as well. But Mercury trine Jupiter is an all around, there's good news kind of coming out day. I think there's going to be news revolving around global, right? Jupiter could be global, legal decisions, alliances, pacts. People who are coming together and saying, you know, we have signed this document. This is our, you know, treaty. We are doing this. We are doing that. And that is happening in October. That is happening in October with a lot of things revolving around some of like the World Health Treaty stuff. So that'll be taking place closer to the 2nd. So I'm curious to see if there's more news revolving around that kind of coming up within a couple days' time. I like this day for planning travel, education, trips, and making big announcements, basically. Where it gets a little salty is Mercury is in direct opposition to Chiron. Chiron, wounded healer, you know, issues, feeling like the outcast, the isolated one, rejection, fears, pain, all that stuff. Ruled by Mars. Mars and Venus are trining. So this isn't necessarily a bad aspect. This is actually saying that we can maybe heal some of our own personal woundings or issues because we have somebody that comes into our life that says, I believe in you, right? Mercury in Libra, trine Jupiter and Gemini. I believe in you, or this is great, or, you know, I think you're doing an awesome job. Like, this is a day that you want to congratulate people or encourage people on, you know, their path. And you want to support friends, family, allies, you know, partners, things like that. Because I feel like you're going to get a lot further with honey than you are with vinegar, especially with a Venus and Scorpio transit. So this is a day that you may never know, you know, who you can help heal because you give them a compliment or because you know, encourage them on their work. But by the same token, oppositions sometimes are stressful. So this can also mean that, you know, we're having conversations or things come up in conversations and relationships that can be painful. You know, people can feel defensive. They can feel like they're being called out, or they're being, you know, accused or blamed for issues in relationships. Now, once again, in the background, other things are brewing. Now we're starting to see Mercury get ready to come into a square with Pluto. Now we're getting ready to see Mars and the Sun come into a square. So there is more intensity that's kind of building in the skies. But on this day, you have the ability to decide whether or not you're going to work together or if you're going to wage war. Because if this aspect does not go well, then yeah, we could see the rest of, you know, October kind of build into the Pluto squares as being like really turbulent. Juno's in the mix too, and Juno's in the mix pretty much throughout this entire transit and the eclipse, which does deal with relationships, commitment, marriage, partners, spouses, right? This is Jupiter's wife, and she's in a trine to Jupiter. So this means that especially communications with committed relationships, you know, the person that you are engaged to, the person that you're married to, the person that you run a business with, this is where you really want to be focused on communication. If you're in committed relationships, you want to be focused on positive communication and reinforcing and supporting your partner, especially being very aware of some of their insecurities or some of their pitfalls, right? And like not poking, you know, that wound, basically. All right, so then we are going to move on to, let's see. And also the trine to Jupiter is really good. I forgot this. When it comes to ideas, communication, and learning. So it's not just travel and communication, it's learning. You know, you might find that there's a new author that you really like, or there's a new course that you're picking up and you're learning a lot. Somebody who can be teaching you about relationships, or teaching you about language, or teaching you about style. So there can be some opportunities to learn with that as well. All right, so then we're going to move to the 12th, where there's a funky little aspect going on here. This one is a little hard to catch, but if you see this, kind of, yeah, it's gonna be kind of the 12th into the 13th, but I just want to stay on the 12th. We see Mercury to 27, quincunx Neptune. Okay, so remember how early in the month Mercury was in conjunct quincunx Saturn, where we were like, I don't know if I want to say anything. Now it's quincunx Neptune. I don't know. It makes me think of. Is it Christy McVie who sings the "Tell Me Lies, Tell Me Sweet Little Lies" song, or is it Fleetwood? Maybe she just sings it for Fleetwood. I don't know. For whatever reason, whenever I see Mercury and Libra make this aspect, like that's the song that comes up for me. You know, "Tell Me Lies," because I think Neptune can be deceptive, especially because it's retrograde. There's something that you don't see there. There's something that's like hidden and kind of behind the scenes and a little mischievous and intentionally being concealed. And it's at a 27. So it is about conversations, text messages, emails, things that are being said behind closed doors, things that people are thinking but they're not saying. And then obviously Mercury and Libra can sometimes have a tendency to like tell people what they want to hear. I mean, come on, this is a Venus ruled sign. You know, it's like, how do you think this looks? It looks great. You know, very like Kris Jenner holding the camera. You're doing great, sweetie. Like that's what it reminds me of. And maybe for some people, you know, maybe that's a good thing. But I feel like there is a sense of not getting a lot of clarity in communication. And maybe, you know, people aren't telling us what they really think. They're telling us what we want to hear. You want to watch for that. Now on the other side though, Mercury was also just quincunx late on the 11th into the 12th, Uranus. So this is a sextile, and Uranus is about unconventional, different, unusual, you know, shifts. And Uranus in Taurus is about money, banking, land, okay? Neptune is about pandemics. I'm sorry, but it is. It's about healthcare. It is about global matters. And Mercury is quincunx Uranus and quincunx Neptune. Something in the back of my mind says that some of the treaty discussions and things that are coming up are going to be, it's going to be hard to get the details. Like apparently the world, you know, I don't know if it's the World Health Organization or it's someone else, but the treaty, they usually put out like a version before they have the big meetings, right? So they're doing kind of like one of those tabletop exercises where they're talking about like bird flu and all these things that could be happening in the future, just like they did last time. Anyway, so, you know, they're doing this, and there's a lot of information that was redacted, and then they decided to go and rewrite it. And then they've been going back and forth, you know, since May of 2024, trying to get all of these nations to kind of sign on. And there is lots of stuff in there revolving around water rights, okay, quincunx to Pisces, around procedures in regards to future, you know, pandemics or health-related matters and how it would be handled, and everything from, you know, hospital to, you know, quarantine. Very Pisces. And the quincunx to Uranus and Taurus is also, how does that impact the future of banking? And like, does that somehow push forward some kind of, you know, CBDC type of agenda? And, you know, is there going to be some radical changes revolving around land and protected spaces and like land ownership, and certain areas and cities which could at some point, you know, be affected? There's some connection here for me. Like, I look at this and I'm like, So for you in your own life, you know, you might want to just look around on the 12th and be like, there's something that's shifting, Uranus and Taurus. There's something changing. I can't quite put my finger on it, but you may observe that through your thought process, your communications, your relationships, your interaction with other people. And thankfully, it, like I said, it forms this yod. So it can mean that you become informed about major changes going on globally, and also in regards to finances or the world, or money, you know, through somebody else, or somebody gets like the word out that's like, hey guys, this thing is happening, or, you know, this thing was signed, or this is what's kind of going down. And I would keep my ears out for some really significant news. And then to top it all off, we then see Mercury come into a square with Pluto. And at this point in time, Pluto is direct, okay? So this is going to be happening. You're going to start feeling it on the 12th, but it's not actually going to happen until the 13th. So it'll be building for about a day or two. So October 13th, Mercury square Pluto at that god-awful 29 degrees. Well, we saw Venus square Pluto. That happened not too long ago, right? Just like in the last week or so, as it was leaving Libra. So there was definitely some intensity, some passion-related things kind of coming up. But when we have Mercury square Pluto, it's going to be about a deep transformation revolving around how we relate, how we negotiate with people, you know, intense conversations. I kind of call this like the interrogation aspect. We're being interrogated, you know, it's like, what are you doing? What happened on this day? Where were you? Like, you know, show us your search history, you know, turn over your, all of your gadgets and your computers. And sometimes we see that stuff. It can be, you know, we're hearing about somebody being raided, or somebody's stuff being seized, and they're looking through like information, and they're trying to go and like pull stuff that, you know, may or may not have been encrypted. That kind of stuff, because Pluto deals with like locks, safes, things that are hidden, and Pluto in Capricorn is now direct. So this whole theme of like the three-letter agencies, and like what's going on here in the United States with the three-letter agencies, and like whether some of the things that they're doing, if it's like legal and some damning documents, information, or news. Remember, Mercury's connected to Jupiter, and now Jupiter's retrograde. So it's like, I think it's going to be about somebody having something and trying to connect it with the right people, or get it to the right people to share it. It could also very much be about critical news about the legal system, the courts, a big court decision, something like that, where people are teaming up and they're working together to basically like give the finger to Pluto and be like, this is not going to work anymore. You know, like this is now being exposed, or this is now being kind of brought out. Simultaneously, same day, it'll be later in the day, but the sun is squaring Mars. So there's a very, I mean, this is wide, but technically we do have, you know, a grand cardinal cross happening. And we've got Mars square Chiron, where people are feeling reactionary and kind of attacked. We've got the sun square Mars, where there's some ego issues and people getting kind of, you know, confrontational and kind of like blowing up, and we can see some tension between relationships and partnerships. And then Mercury squares Pluto. Woo! And that's coming into what will be the full moon in Aries a couple days later. So like mid-October is hot, and like not in a good way, in a way where the sky is prepped and primed for conflict. Mercury square Pluto is fighting words, right? Venus opposed Uranus is sudden upsets and changes in relationships. Sun square Mars could be actual conflict, domestic issues within the home. Sun and Juno in opposition to Chiron, it's going to be like marital disputes. Like there's some stuff that's going to be kind of kicked up here. So mind your words. Be mindful that this is a time where we see perhaps sometimes, especially with Mercury square Pluto, lots of finding out like, oh, things have been hacked, or, you know, account information was revealed on the dark web, or, you know, somebody got my PIN or my password. Libra is partners, okay? And Pluto and Capricorn can be people revolving around work. So there can be a lot more of finding out like, you know, coworkers are having an affair, or, you know, somebody's dating the boss, or somebody saw some leaked emails and it exposed that there was some kind of, you know, sexual harassment kind of situation going on, unfortunately. People wanting to break into iPhones, reading people's messages, wanting to see information. I see that a lot with Venus square Pluto, but I see that a lot with Mercury square Pluto. And obviously there's connections to Lilith as well throughout this transit. And so where the sun can represent a boss, a leader, a man, and Juno represents a wife or a partner or a business partner or somebody you're devoted to. Lilith is like the lady on the side. she's the side piece, right? She's just there for fun or for sex or for gifts. So to me, it's like you've got a lot of people that are coming together in still within realm of the eclipse that is now squaring Pluto and squaring Mars. And you're going to see a lot of like third-party situations and like people kind of stirring the pot, unfortunately. That can definitely happen, or, you know, people, you know, calling people being like, yeah, why are you talking to my husband? And they're like, what? I didn't know he was married. I mean, like that kind of stuff. So be very mindful of communication. And I told you guys in my eclipse video, I was like, look, you know, because we saw that solar eclipse with Lilith and Juno in the mix, that this was setting up 6 months where we were going to see a lot of do-si-dos in relationships and people leaving relationships, even if infidelity is not involved. If people just know this is not the right relationship, it's not working, I got to split, because there is this energy of some people coming apart and other people coming together, and other people who either have karma who were supposed to connect at this time, or they're coming back after a very long period of time. They are. So watch for that pressure with communication. Not a good communication day. That's probably one of the worst ones, I would say, when Mercury is quincunx Saturn, Neptune, and square Pluto and square Mars. I mean, I know that's most of them, but really lean into the cazimi, lean into Mercury coming into a trine with Jupiter. I think those are going to be some of the better days, to be honest with you. And certainly, like I said, the closer that we get to kind of like mid-October, the more intense the skies kind of get. Later on the 13th, we will then see Mercury come into Scorpio. So then that will be the end of the transit. We will cover the Mercury in Scorpio in the horoscopes. If you guys haven't already seen that, I'm sure I touch on that in some way, shape, or form. And we'll be back with another Mercury video as we get closer to that time. So let me take you guys through the 12 rising signs. I want to show you guys where Mercury is moving in the skies for you. As always, you guys know I am a Western astrologer. I am not a Vedic astrologer. People ask me that every video. And I have to keep telling you guys, no, this is tropical. This is not Vedic. And let me take this back to around the cazimi. There we go. So what you want to listen for is your rising sign, and then you want to listen to your sun and your moon sign, okay? And I would actually listen to my moon sign because we do have a, an eclipse that's going to be happening. So if you listen to your rising and your sun, add your moon onto this as well, because there's going to be a lot of stuff kind of going on revolving around the moon there. And this is the entire kind of transit. So I'm going to be doing a whole sign, all right? So we're going to start first with Aries and Aries rising. We're going to take a look at Mercury going through your 7th house, okay? So Mercury through your 7th house transit. So you've got your 3rd house ruler and you've got your 6th house ruler coming through the 7th. So the themes, obviously, of the 7th house are relationships, partnerships, and legal matters. What you're going to be thinking about during this transit is you're more focused on balancing your personal needs with that of your partners. Communication becomes really key, especially in negotiations or discussions. I'm predicting for you guys that this could be a time where you're seeking harmony in your relationships, possibly making new connections, or maybe you're trying to meet new people. If you are in existing relationships, you're going to be trying to better or improve them. And there could be legal or contractual agreements which may need your attention throughout this transit. You may be signing documents at some point. You may be agreeing to moving. You may be agreeing to buying a car. You might be planning some kind of travel even with a partner, okay? And obviously, if you need help with that, the 7th house could be a travel agent too. It doesn't necessarily have to mean your partner. You could be consulting with somebody where to go, how to travel, what's the best places to kind of visit. All right, so we've got Taurus and Taurus rising. So you guys are going to be experiencing Mercury traveling through Libra in your 6th house. I'm thinking your chart ruler. So it's going to go through the 6th house where it likes to be. Mercury does well in the 6th house. And Mercury is connected to your money, and it's also connected to your creativity, children, dating, and hobbies, kind of like fun time. So for you, Taurus and Taurus rising, the themes of this Mercury in Libra transit is going to be about your work environment. So think about like organizing your office, sprucing it up a little bit, making it look a little bit nicer. You could be bringing some decor into your space. You could be also focusing on your health routines. You could be focusing on your daily interactions with other people. Maybe talking to or investing a little bit more time or energy into your health. So you might be like buying healthier foods. You might be spending more money on your pets. You might be focusing on, cooking or like little gifts or things, for your coworkers, or just really focused on like kind of organizing and sprucing up your space and having fun with it, being creative with it as well. So my thoughts on this transit for you is you might find yourself seeking peace in your workplace or routine. It could be through better communication and also trying to find balance of your work-life balance. Mercury rules your 5th house, so it's about having time to get everything done, but also see your friends or hang out with your kids or make time for dating. I predict that with this transit for you, it's going to be about improving your daily health regimen and your work environment. And you might engage in talks about improving your work conditions, or you might be like investing in like a new piece of fitness or workout equipment. Maybe you're going to be negotiating some job. There could be a new job offer that can be coming in, and you're trying to negotiate like the money side of it. And if you're somebody who owns a business, you could be like signing a new lease, moving into a new space. You could be hiring staff. You could be getting a new assistant. Some of you guys might be having some changes with pets. You could be taking better care of your pets if they're having health issues, or you could be looking at getting or adopting a pet as well. Okay. And picking up after your kids. Those of you guys who have kids because of the 5th house, you're like, oh my gosh, there's so much stuff to do for my kids, And maybe it's about encouraging them and incentivizing them, especially because Mercury is your money house. I would say if you've got like little kids, like this is the time to be like, okay, we do our chores every day and here's the chore list. And then, you get X amount of money each week for doing your chores. And then when we have X amount of money, then we go on a trip, or we do this or we do that. We want to create like incentive so that way people are pitching in and they're helping when it comes to their daily routines. Good luck, Taurus. All right, so we've got Gemini and Gemini rising. Obviously, this is important for you, Gems, because Mercury rules your chart. So wherever Mercury is where you are. I think you're in a place that's really fun. Mercury is moving through Libra in your 5th house. So not only is your chart ruler in a sister sign where it's harmonizing with you, but also it's going to harmonize with Jupiter, which is really good for you. And it's going to be moving through the house that deals with like love affairs, creativity, children, partying, dating, creating, being on stage, like all the fun stuff. So I think that this is a really great transit. So the themes are going to be about creativity, children, romance. It could be about speculative ventures, gambling, that as well. I think this is about turning your thoughts towards creative expression and or romantic relationships, focusing on how to bring more balance and beauty into these areas and how to have fun or how to open your heart or how to love again. It is possible there is a connection where if you have not heard from like a romantic partner or like connection in a while, they come back. There can be lots of really significant conversation going on either with children or revolving around children. It is possible that there can be some miscommunication with kids that can happen as well here, or some exciting news pertaining to the life of your kids, or even, you know, pregnancy or having kids. I said in a previous video, with the trines between Mercury in your fifth, a solar eclipse in your fifth, and a trine to Jupiter, a lot of Geminis and Gemini risings are going to get pregnant, or they're going to find out they're pregnant, you know, through some of these transits, or that their kid is pregnant, or that their kid surprises them with something like that can happen. So it's really good in regards to creativity, children, celebrations. I'm just predicting for you, it's a time where there's more romantic encounters, and it's about deepening existing relationships. It's also going to be about creative projects really feeling very fulfilling and kind of flourishing at this time, and being able to, you know, really be able to create with other people, right? Libra. So think of, you know, dancing, think of, you know, like date nights where you guys, you know, do like wine and painting, you know, gathering together with other people and being able to create something. It seems like that's going to be the themes that you're going to be enjoying throughout this transit. I hope it's a good one for you guys. Especially let me know what happens when you have the cazimi, or like when Mercury trines Jupiter. I wonder what happens for my Gemini risings. You might meet somebody. All right, so you got Cancer and Cancer rising. You guys are going to experience Mercury's trek through the sign of Libra in your natal fourth house. So you're the first of all my cardinal signs. So just know, I guess actually the second, we're going to see the squares happening. So Aries, I'm pretty sure got it. But for Cancer, you're going to see all this action going on here, which is going to square Mars in your sign. It's going to oppose the 10th house. It's going to square Pluto. So there is like this sense through this month of people trying to communicate, trying to connect to you, trying to get through to you, or family or roommates, you know, things revolving around your living situation that can kind of irritate you a little bit, right? The good news is, though, is that the fourth house is about home, family, your emotional foundations. It can be about the family you don't live with. It can be about people who live in other places. It can be about roommates, partners you live with. And I think you're going to be thinking more about, how can I create harmony at home, you know, within family dynamics, possibly involving more communication or even meditation, because Mercury is connected to your 12th house and your third. Now, if there's going to be any like issues, it's more going to be with siblings or with neighbors. It could be aunts or uncles or cousins, but these people are all connected to the third house. So when Mercury has the cazimi, or when it's conjunct the south node, it's, oh, you know, I haven't heard from my sister for a while. She called me. Or, oh my God, you know, the neighbors are having house parties. They're driving me crazy. I'm going to say something. You know, something like that can kind of happen. And Mars on your ascendant is giving like Clint Eastwood vibes, you know, like get off my lawn. Like that's kind of how it reads to me. Like you're kind of crabby right now. So it can create some tension in some communications with people at home. So just be mindful of that. Try to meditate if you can, reflect, let it go, you know, or maybe you're looking for a new place to move. Maybe you're looking in new areas or new neighborhoods. I predict for you guys, it is possible that there can be home renovations, family discussions, or moving towards a more peaceful domestic life and focusing on the positive changes that are happening within the home and the family. And I think that it can be about peace and diplomacy and like letting certain things go, especially with some of the trines to Jupiter. We want to focus on letting it go rather than fighting the inevitable. Because some of you guys are like, some people are moving, or they are moving out, or there are some changes going on in the home front. And I would say we don't want to add more fuel to the fire, right? Just keep that in the back of your mind. Good luck, Cancer. All right, we got Leo and Leo rising. You guys are going to be doing Mercury in Libra in your natal third house. So for you guys, you know, Mercury likes being in the third house. It's able to kind of move around there. It's really chatty. It's great for gadgets and connections and contracts and communications. The cazimi will be important because you've got the solar eclipse, which impacts you because you're ruled by the sun. And then Mercury conjunct the sun. So for some of you guys, it could manifest as, I bought a new car. I just splurged on traveling, you know. I got issued a contract where there's going to be a bonus, something like that. Maybe you buy yourself something nice, some luxury piece of something. For my Leo and Leo risings, so communication, local travel, siblings, learning, vehicles, that's kind of the themes of the third house. What you're going to be paying attention to is, I think your thoughts are going to be more on how you communicate, and you're trying to kind of be more fair when it comes to your connection with other people, and like more clarity in your communications with others. Obviously, Mercury is connected to your 11th house. So this could also be a transit where you're traveling with friends, you're getting involved in an online community. Maybe you have friends that are coming into town to visit you. Maybe you're taking a class with friends. Maybe you're starting a new social media platform, which some of you guys might do actually after the eclipse. You guys might get on, oh, I'm starting YouTube, I'm starting a new Twitter, I'm creating an Instagram, I'm launching a website, like whatever. And when you start to see trines to Jupiter, you have a really great connection to your audience. So whether you're sending something out or you're posting something, I think that can really get a lot of traction. Watch for increased social interactions, some short trips, and engaging in learning activities that could involve like debate, right? Because debate can be very Libra in the 3rd house. So you're debating about something. What are you debating about? Jupiter in the 11th house, philosophy, politics, law. Maybe you're a judge of some kind on some like panel, and you're working with a group of people, just kind of spitballing. But that's a few ways that could kind of manifest for you guys. Okay. Let me know what happens with the cazimi. I wonder, are some of you guys going to buy, are you going to buy a ring? A ring or like a bracelet, something that you wear on your hands or on your wrists that could be luxury, or do you end up getting a car, or is it a contract, something like that? Or does somebody contact you and tell you like how valuable you are to them? Let me know. All right, so we've got Virgo and Virgo rising. What's up, Virgo? Mercury's moving through Libra in your 2nd house. Your chart ruler's on the move, so very important for you, Virgo. Obviously, the themes of the 2nd house are finances. It's about values. It's about self-worth. It's about your spending power. Okay, this is cash in hand, money in the bank, and your money's on your mind. Your mind is on your money. And your money's on your mind. Hello. Because you just are about to have a solar eclipse in this particular house. So solar eclipse, Mercury transit, cazimi, tells me that on one hand, you could be unloading things. I'm selling stuff. I'm getting rid of stuff. I'm letting stuff go. Well, what is that stuff? Venus. Are you getting rid of stuff because you're moving? Are you selling your car? Are you getting rid of like some books or some kind of gadgets or some softwares maybe? But there is some sense of letting things go. And when Mercury and the Sun are in the 2nd house, it's strong for business, by the way. So some of you guys are like, wow, I'm just really in flow with this energy, and like I'm focusing on how to make more money. And some of you guys are feeling like there's fluctuations, that there's been a lot of changes with your financial situation, and money's coming in and money's going, right? Because the North Node's in your 8th. For you guys, my feeling is that your thoughts are going to be reflecting on your values and how your values align with your financial dealings. Seeking balance in giving and receiving, right? And it's also going to be about financial negotiations, perhaps investing in art or beauty related items, and you might reassess what you value financially or personally. So because you are Mercury, and Mercury is also your career, it could mean that it could go one of two ways. You could find out that, hey, we're having, cuts at work, or I'm working less, so I'm now spending less. How does that make me feel? The Sun rules your 12th house. So when you have the Sun and Mercury come together, do you wig out a little bit because you're like, whoa, one of my jobs got cut or my hours got cut and I can't spend as much. And, if you've got Virgo rising and you got Libra in the 2nd, you like to spend on nice things. So that can be you kind of going, well, is it important to me to have, that much money or to have certain things? And how do I feel about making some of these sacrifices or like letting some of these things go, right? And it can also mean that something that was lost is found. And suddenly you're like, oh, I've been missing this thing, or I've been looking for this item, for so long, and I found it in a closet, or I found it on eBay, I had to have it. That kind of stuff can kind of come up. But opportunities for financial negotiations. You will see, Virgo, the Sun will trine Jupiter and Mercury will trine Jupiter. So whatever change happens is happening for the better, and a better opportunity to make money will come in, or there will be a bump in income in some way, or maybe you find a better paying job. Like, I'm not worried about it for you. I think it's gonna be fine. But there is this sense of needing to make peace with letting go of, oh, I am what I make, right? And also some of you guys are getting rid of or letting things go that belong to old relationships, old partners, Libra. Or you're letting go of the idea of partners from the past, Libra. All right, good luck, Virgo. I hope that you guys get those job offers because it's very possible with that trine. All right, we got Libra and Libra rising. You guys obviously have Mercury going into your sign, so you get the megaphone for a little bit here. What can I say about this transit? Well, first of all, the first house is what you get up and you do first thing in the morning, right? So when you have Mercury on the ascendant, it's highlighting your 12th and your 9th house lord. So morning routine, maybe there's some changes to, how early you're kind of getting up or you're going to bed. That's possible. The themes of, planets going through the first house tie directly to your personal identity, your appearance, how you present yourself, how you're communicating. I think that this would be a really strong time to be reflecting, having gratitude, rituals, to be meditating, maybe to be getting up in the morning and reading or studying, or taking a little time to just reflect. And that can be really, really, really beneficial for your mindset because it's playing off of your 12th and also your 9th house. Anyway, throughout the transit, you will see several times that planets in Libra will trine Jupiter. So this will be a good time to be like, now I'm going to book my flights or my travel. Now I'm applying to get into that program. I'm going to be initiating, the legal work. I'm going to be starting the program. I'm going to start, I think I said writing the book. That kind of stuff is the stuff that you're going to want to be doing, or connecting with a teacher or a mentor. That's another way that I kind of look at that. Maybe, there is going to be stuff coming up revolving around your image and how you communicate and how it affects your persona. You might be seen as more fair or balanced than usual. I'm sensing style changes, focusing on diplomacy, a period of self-enhancement through balanced communication. And also, there can be some anxiety that can kind of come with this transit because of the connection of your 12th house, Lord. So it's about resting, reflecting, kind of trying to be a little bit more in a Zen state, trying to be more optimistic as well. And you will have the cazimi on your ascendant if you're a Libra rising. So a prominent dream, a vision, an intuition, a feeling about this. It's kind of cool. I've had it several times throughout the retrogrades the last couple of years. They've either gone from Virgo into Libra or they've gone through Libra. So I've always kind of had it on my ascendant every single time. And every single time I have this either cazimi or retrograde, I have some like really profound, period where I sit down and I start writing something, or I have a really interesting dream, or I have a reading with someone that gives me a lot of insight. So listen to your intuition during this transit, Libra, okay? Good luck. All right, we got Scorpio and Scorpio rising. You guys are going to be experiencing Mercury's transit through Libra in your natal 12th house. And for you, this is kind of like the subconscious house. This is a little bit more hidden. The themes of the 12th house obviously is solitude. It can be about spiritual retreats. It can be about reflection. It can be about your bedroom, rest, sleep, but also hidden enemies, all right? So Mercury for you is connected to your 11th house, which deals with friends, allies, and kind of networks and collaborations. It also is connected to the 8th house, which is about psychology. It is about research. It's about information. It's about digging deep and changing your mind. But Libra 12th house means that there can be some subconscious stuff that's kind of coming up. Could be in your dreams when you're sleeping. It could be stuff that you didn't know that was bothering you that's suddenly kind of coming back all of a sudden. You can find yourself, contemplating, deep things. There can be hidden truths that can come up, communicating with your inner self through your dreams. I predict for you with this transit that it's time for introspection. And really this is about resolving past conflicts internally or engaging in spiritual practices that really involve communication or some kind of meditation. It's possible, Scorpio and Scorpio risings, that you have a dream about a friend coming back to you. And it could be a friend that you had that you're no longer friends with. It could be a friend or like a loved one or a relative that's died that can come to you in your dreams. If you have that, pay attention. I'm going to plant that subconsciously because I think that that's how this might manifest for you. It can give you closure, or it can just like let you know that there is like, you know, something else going on out in the ethers on the other side. Throughout this transit, you are also going to see that the ruler is in your sign. So you're protected. Like whatever's being purged and removed is probably like just like ex-boyfriend or girlfriend crap, or things that have been kind of bothering you, but you weren't really aware of it. Now it's going to start to get cleared out. Mercury will trine Jupiter. So this can be a day where there is some unexpected good news that comes in, that can be beneficial for you either emotionally or financially. And I think also with, you know, Venus kind of harmonizing with Mars, it is saying, you know, maybe it is about traveling, and maybe you find that you're kind of in a place that is far away and different and unusual, and it's very like spiritual and kind of like whimsical for you. But definitely meditation, could be healing, could be therapy, could be a lot of stretching and, you know, doing things like that where you're just kind of moving anything that is stuck out of the body. Okay? Good luck, Scorpio and Scorpio risings. All right, so now we're on to Sag and Sag rising. What's up, Sag? You're going to have Mercury going through Libra in your 11th house. All right. So the 11th house is about parties, gatherings, networks, friendships. It's also about your hopes, your dreams, and your wishes. So it's a fun house. Obviously, Mercury rules your career as well as your relationships. So I'm kind of feeling for you, Sag, with this transit, you're going to be seeing lots of opportunities for social interactions, parties, maybe coming together with friends and talking about shared visions, or, you know, some kind of like humanitarian work. There can be more weddings, celebrations, parties. Like you might go to like engagement parties. Like Jupiter's in your 7th. If you're, you know, planning a wedding, or if you're engaged, there may be, you know, setting up all of the stuff, the bridal stuff, the engagement parties. It could be, you know, the wedding fitting, like whatever, all that stuff. It could be things that are kind of coming up throughout this transit, or you're starting to talk about it. If not, then like love, right? Because Mercury rules your 7th, can be found with friends. You can go to parties, you can go to gatherings, you can go to celebrations. And it might also be connected to work, because Mercury is connected to your 10th house. So there can be like social events tied to work in some way, where you're like meeting clients and other people, and then like you can meet someone. Especially when Mercury trines Jupiter. Mercury trine Jupiter is aligning you with, with other people. And it might mean that you introduce a partner to somebody important, or, you know, that through a friend you end up kind of meeting a really great client, or somebody that you end up kind of dating. Those are going to be some of your best days. I do think that, you know, the focus is like how you can make your social interactions fun, and how you can enjoy yourself and like be around other people, and like strengthen the bonds that you have with some of your relationships, or join groups or alliances that you feel like kind of align with your ideals. And it can be about fairness, it could be about equality, it could be about, you know, maybe going to like a singles mixer, you know, or maybe you're going out with your friends and you're doing like double dating and things like that. That can be kind of happening as well. But I think this is going to be a fun transit for you guys, especially because of Mercury's connection to Jupiter. It seems like a really great time. Good luck. We've got Capricorn and Capricorn rising. You will be experiencing Mercury going through Libra in your 10th house of career. And obviously, last cardinal sign, but all of you guys are kind of feeling the squeeze a little bit. So just kind of bear with me over the next couple of weeks as you go through this. The positive is that when you have planets going through your 10th house Capricorn, you know, 10th house energy is Capricorn energy, right? Even though for you it's Libra, and there's a lot of, well, I have to work with other people and I'm dealing with other people. Yes. But this is about feeling incentivized to do something. All right. And so it can be you're feeling incentivized to work harder, get more recognition, find a job, climb the corporate ladder, partner with new people, make changes to your status, make changes to your reputation. All of those things are kind of in the mix, right? And what you're going to want to lean into are going to be the days where you're going to have trines to Jupiter. So whether that's getting a new job, getting a new office, working for a new company, aligning with a new boss, like whatever, something needs to change, and change can be good. And if you resist change, when you start getting into the Mars-Pluto oppositions and the squares between these two, you're going to have a harder time either you yourself making change or getting a partner on board with making some of the changes that you want to make. For some of my Capricorn rising, South Node Libra in the 10th is I'm separating with my work partner. I'm divorcing, you know, I'm going from being married to being single. And that can be how the cookie crumbles when you see some of the stuff with South Node Libra in the 10th. So it can be about trying to be diplomatic and separating yourself from a situation, separating yourself from a person, separating yourself from a job, like that kind of stuff. But I think you can manage it. I think you can handle it. It's just the Pluto squares where you're going to get into some trouble. So be nice those days. Don't resist change. And know that the 10th house is all about your career, public image, and also your achievements. Now, I think you're going to be thinking about how your career or persona can project more balance and fairness. I think communication might be key in career, you know, advancements, negotiations, diplomacy, working with other people, collaborating on projects. That's what you want to do. And I'm predicting that career moves will happen, but they require negotiation or some kind of like public relations aspect, and possibly moving into new roles that kind of mediate between parties. You know, HR, or you're doing some legal stuff, or maybe you're trying to help somebody through some kind of like corporate buyout and restructuring, like something like that could be happening. And Mercury rules the 9th house, so it can involve like legal stuff or travel or working with people in other places. And it's also connected to your 6th house. So actually a lot of Capricorn risings might be like, well, I'm leaving my company, but I was like wrongfully terminated. You know, now I need a lawyer. That could happen because the 6th and the 9th house very much deal with law. So I'm hoping that's not the case for you guys. But if so, it looks like you have support with some of the trines to Jupiter, and where one door is closing, and whether that's professionally or romantically, another one is opening. There's something new that's opening for you. And you're kind of undoing this identity of like, I have to be partnered. You know, maybe you're starting your own business. Maybe you're going your own way. And I think you're embracing that more. And I think that you might just need some assistance with trines to Jupiter. You know, maybe you need a coach, an assistant. Maybe you need a new staff. Maybe you need a new office, or a professional to kind of come in and help you navigate some of these things that you're kind of moving through right now. Good luck. Now we've got Aquarius and Aquarius rising. You will be experiencing Mercury transiting through Libra in your natal 9th house. Fellow sister air sign. And Aquas are going to like this because you guys are going to have some grand air trines. So I think it's going to be a really lovely transit for you guys. So the 9th house is about philosophy. This is about travel. It could be about higher education, legal matters. It could be about publishing, advertising. It could be about working with like a teacher or a mentor of some kind. Let's see what else. Yeah, it's pretty much, I mean, this is the bigger picture of life. 9th house is like, you know, why am I here? What am I here to do? You know? And you just had a solar eclipse there, which for a lot of Aquarius or Aquarius risings is promoting, I'm now traveling, or I'm, you know, going places with a partner, or I have a relationship at a distance with somebody, or I'm starting school, I'm going to start writing my book. Something like that is kind of happening. And Mercury is connected to your 5th house of creative self-expression, right? Gemini. So it could be through words, which is why I think a lot of you guys might be maybe considering working with kids, publishing books, teaching, or your kids are going off to school. Maybe you're wanting to learn how to do creative writing properly. Maybe you're wanting to learn how to paint, or, you know, do something with your hands, maybe drawing. And Mercury is also connected to your 8th house. So you may be having to like negotiate with your children about financial matters, or maybe you are working on investments that are more speculative, and you're doing this with a team or with partnerships, and you guys are having to sit down and kind of talk about like, okay, how are we allocating certain funds, and where are we investing, and where is it going? So that seems to be like the bigger, the bigger themes. Certainly throughout the transit, at some point, if you're an Aquarius Sun, Moon, or Rising, you will see trines, but I think you'll be especially pleased anywhere around like that 20 to about 22 degrees, because you will be seeing trines from Jupiter as well as Mercury and the Sun on 2 separate days. So that's going to be really nice for you. I think you guys are going to enjoy that. Hopefully some of you guys are going to be able to plan like a vacation, or, you know, take a holiday or something with Jupiter in the 5th and planets in the 9th. This is also about being drawn to ideas of justice, truth, and beauty, and like different cultures. And I predict for you guys travel, education pursuits, expanding your understanding also of law, legality, global fairness, and legal issues come to a balanced solution. So if there's been some issues, usually these will kind of taper off and they kind of get a little bit easier to manage, or you get some good news and like the case ends up completing. Good luck, enjoy. That looks like a fun one for you guys. And we have Pisces and Pisces risings. You guys will be experiencing Mercury transiting through Libra in your natal 8th house. And this is interesting because it is in a sign that inconjuncts or quincunxes you. So it is in like a much more private part of your chart. The 8th house deals with transformation. It's about joint resources, intimate relationships, secrets, things that are hidden and private. Mercury is about relationships, and it's also connected to your home or the past. So you may be reflecting on past relationships. There can be some kind of change happening with intimate relationships or financial investments or joint investments or money, inheritance, taxes, any like alimony, spousal support, that kind of stuff, or money that's owed to you or money that you owe. I would imagine the cazimi can be about finding out some kind of information about a partnership or relationship. It doesn't have to be romantic, it could be a client. There can be some like ending or beginning of a relationship happening here, or like a purification period of relationships, or some exposure, somebody coming clean about, oh, you know, I'm in this much debt, or like this is what I've been dealing with, or this is what's been going on. And it can also be revolving around money and home. So it can be things like mortgages, money owed for rent, or like back taxes, like that kind of stuff can be kind of coming up. And family relationships as well, because of Mercury, relationships that you have with siblings in some kind of financial situation or joint financial situation. For the most part, you know, whenever a planet goes through the 8th house, there's some major change, right? So you're going to have a solar eclipse there. You're going to have Mercury go through there. You already have Venus go through there. So there's been this sense of maybe with the South Node saying, okay, I'm ready to break free of this attachment to this relationship or to this person or, you know, to this financial situation. And now it's becoming more obvious to you. That's like, okay, maybe I do need to kind of let this go. And it doesn't have to be bad. It's just taking a step back. I think it's in preparation also because you already had a Pisces eclipse in your first house. So now it's like, okay, I recognized and realized some things. I know what I need. I am aware of my boundaries now. And now my relationship to other people has to change in some way in preparation for the South Node coming into your 7th house. So sometimes there's like this major awareness or epiphany that comes up with eclipses in the 8th house and transits through the 8th house right before you start getting into the South Node eclipses in the 7th. Deep conversations about shared finances, psychological insight, aiming for emotional balance and also more intimacy. I'm predicting a major transformation of how you handle joint finances and how you communicate and talk about deep emotional connections. And I feel like this is a time where, whether it's with relationships, with your home, what have you, you're focusing on fairness, balance, and equality. And if you're feeling like you're not getting enough, right, from other people, then that North Node in your 2nd house is going to kind of kick into overdrive. And you're going to be like, then I need to give it to myself. Be mindful that there can be letters that can come with Sun conjunct Mercury. There can be documents, mail, things that come to your home that could be like a tax bill, right? Or it could be word or news. Hey, by the way, we're selling the house that you're renting. You have 60 days, you know, that kind of stuff. Or, hey, guess what? You just inherited, you know, a property. And you're like, what? Some kind of news about that stuff can kind of come up right around this transit. And obviously Jupiter is your traditional chart ruler. So that's why I say that, you know, when Mercury makes the trine to Jupiter, either somebody's going to be proposing, let's refinance the house, let's take out a loan, you know, let's move back home, let's do this, let's remodel. And you're going to see the opportunities to be able to kind of expand those things through some kind of joint financial related situation. Okay. So I hope that that's helpful for you guys. Give you lots of food for thought on this Mercury in Libra transit. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It's really helpful in helping the channel grow. Leave me your comments below. I'd love to hear what you think about this transit. Do you have Mercury in Libra or Mercury in the 7th house? Let me know how that goes. You can catch me here tomorrow. We're going to be doing live readings. We're going to be doing readings for the solar eclipse in Libra. So if you want to know about the eclipse with that cazimi and like what this means for you. Make sure you're subscribed. Check out the community tab. We will be posting that link shortly so you can get on the list, get in the queue, and make your donation for an astrology reading. I'm here Friday, usually 5 or 6 Pacific time. So we'll post that link depending on what time it's going to be. But those are always super busy. By the time we end up going live, very rarely do we take many more readings. So if you know that you want to get a solar eclipse reading and you want to know how that's impacting you, make sure you get that early. I hope to see you there, and I will catch you guys all back here very soon. Enjoy the rest of your week. Take care.